Hi, folks. It's Mark Smith with Family Tree Life Coaching. Welcome this evening. Got a little bit of a late start. I had a late client, so welcome. Looking forward to sharing some things with you tonight that I hope are helpful to you. I'm wearing my captain's hat tonight just because I thought it'd be fun. I'm missing my. There's Sarah who taught me about meditation. I'm missing the beach, High Liberty How, and I'm looking forward to reuniting with my lovely wife, Annie Chiquita. I'm looking dapper. Hey, nobody's told me I look dapper in a while. Hey, Dee Dee. The plan was to spend some time with my wife at the beach, and just when I was heading down there, hey, Steve Blevins, tonight call me Captain. Don't call me Mark. Just say Captain. Thanks, Suzanne. But I'm looking forward to seeing my wife in the next 2 or 3 weeks whenever this thing gets lifted where you can travel around a little bit. We're thinking about, hey, my wife says you're a sea captain. Aye, aye, matey. Oh, Captain, my captain. Oh, Dead Poet Society reference. So here's what we're going to do tonight. By the way, I got enough to eat. I nibbled on some pistachio nut combo. And so my blood sugar will probably hold out for the whole hour and a half. Aye, aye, Captain. Yes. Jackie, dude, where you been? Jackie, I don't think this first Jackie sighting we've had in a little about a minute or two. It's been a while. Jackie is in the house. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to cover 2 things. 15 ways this pandemic nightmare has been a blessing in disguise. And then when we're done with that, we're going to talk about 15 ways that narcissistic abuse has been a blessing in disguise. So I thought I'd come in disguise as a captain, since we're talking about I'm a blessing in disguise. See, I'm a blessing in disguise as a captain. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about, we're going to start with the pandemic, and I'm not the only teacher here. I want you to be the teacher too. So as we're going along, if it occurs to you a blessing that has come up for you as a result of being quarantined, social distancing, social isolation, whatever you want to call it, then go ahead and type that in and I'll try to throw that out. I've got 15 things that I thought of for me. My wife says, hi, everybody. She's got a wrench. I don't get a wrench. Rinda says she gained some sanity. I think she got it from hanging around me, her sanity. Okay, so let me get a drink of my beverage here, and then I'm going to start into my 15 ways this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise for me, but then y'all are going to jump in and teach too. Okay. These are in no particular order, but the first thing I thought of is isolated in my condominium in Indianapolis with Mr. Paulie. Paulie, where are you? Well, you probably couldn't see him anyway, but he's off eating or drinking or something. But I've been here in Indianapolis at this condo, man, it just seems like a long time. And I was gonna go visit my wife, and right at the time I was going to visit her, I couldn't leave and have been stuck here ever since. Mr. Paulie's doing better. I found ways to work with him on his pee-pee issue and keep the carpets clean. And Paulie and I have been chilling and we've been hanging out. I'll show you a picture of Paulie. We've been bonding. There's been some bonding going on with me and my dog. So let me show you this. Me and Mr. Paulie were taking in some sun, and he was just chilling and hanging out with me. And I don't know if he got sunburn. I got a little bit of sunburn. And Mr. Paulie's good. So, number one thing I thought of, the way this social isolation has been a blessing in disguise, has been, there's Mr. Paulie. What's up, Don? Is it's given me time to embrace my loneliness and my sense of emptiness. And it's taught me how to self-source. Normally, historically, in my relationship with Rinda, whenever I would have a boo-boo, I would just call her and tell her all about it and how I was hurt, and she'd make it better magically. But eventually, she discovered that she wasn't overly attractive to like a little kid / infant. And she wanted me to grow up and be like a grown-up man. So this time has helped me to learn how to be happy in and of myself, even though I can't play basketball. I can't see my family. I can't be with my wife. I can't go to the office and see clients. I can't hang out with my friends. I can't go out to dinner. I can't do a lot of things that I like to do. But this has helped me to be happy no matter what, and be self-sufficient. Annie says, Captain Mark, my blessing is that I've had distant relatives get in contact with me and vice versa. That's funny that you say that, Annie. That's one of mine. That's number 9. We've got some extended family members, mostly nieces and nephews, that are on my oldest brother's side of the family, and they just never have been super close like the rest of us. We're not super close, but we're closer than that other side of the family. And now there's this texting string of, there's like 20 of us, and it's mainly disconnected nieces and nephews that are just chatting up a storm with everybody. So that's been cool. We also have been doing some Zoom meetings with the whole gang. And the first one was a bit of a cluster, and because there wasn't any organization. But the second one, we everybody had a turn, and there was a moderator, and it was wonderful. So that's a blessing to connect with long lost extended family members. Jackie says that she's decluttering. And I think a lot of people have done some decluttering. So I know my wife has done some painting, and now she's working on the yard and pretty soon the yard's going to look good and the neighbors might like us as soon as the yard looks prettier. So that's the second thing for me. I've gotten much more organized. When I was traveling back and forth from Indy and Myrtle Beach and running to the office all the time, I wasn't very organized. But now I'm on it because I've got days where I have nothing to do but sit at my desk and think, maybe I should call that life insurance company and take care of that little piece of business that I'd rather do anything but that because I just got nothing to do. So I'm much better organized. The third thing is I've had quality time with my dog. The fourth thing is I've been able to develop a new hobby while I'm also savoring some of my lifetime passions, hobbies. My new hobby is riding a bicycle. The weather's been nicer here. I need a little exercise. I can't go play basketball. Shooting around is nice, but I want to compete. I want to kick somebody's ass. I want to talk some trash. That's the fun of it. And I want to get a good sweat up, but you can't really get a good sweat up just shooting unless you're out there in some really bad heat. So y'all's assignment is to type in blessings. Annie says a blessing has been not watching Tiger King on Netflix. I tried to watch that for half an hour and it killed about half my brain cells. It was so not very smart. My wife says, dude, I could never get you on a bicycle with me. We would bicycle down to the pool sometimes, honey. So she's going to send in little comments to the back door by texting me. Dee Dee says that some of her blessing has been thanking God and appreciating the beauty in this world. That brings me to, where's it at? Number 12, getting out in nature. Whenever the sun's out, I look at my phone and the weather report tells me when it's going to rain and when it's going to have the sun out. It's supposed to rain today when I was working, and it was sunny and like 77. But normally, if the sun's out, I'm out in it and I'm riding a bicycle, I'm shooting baskets, I'm walking the dog. I like talking on the phone with my wife, sitting by the pond. What other blessings have come? Here's one, and a lot of people have lost their jobs. And when this first happened, I didn't really know how Family Tree was going to fare because really none of us can go in the office. I've been blessed, and Rinda's been blessed in that we already were set up for teleconferencing. So it really has been, unfortunately or fortunately, our business has been going up, and for me, I've been able to get out of I had some debt from being shattered, and from having a bit of a spending addiction and not being very financially responsible, and sometimes being overly generous. My wife would debate that, but it's been a blessing. Something I thought that was going to destroy me financially has got me about, I don't know, 2/3 out of debt. So it's been a blessing. Renda writes, my blessing has been talking on the phone with my wonderful, really smart, handsome husband, is what she wrote. Actually, she wrote, my blessing has been being able to dig in deep with herself and being a loving parent to herself and how to set healthy boundaries. So that's cool. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I'm spending a lot less money. That's the other part of being able to get out of debt is I have two best friends. One of them is named Amazon, and the other best friend is named DoorDash. And all I got to do is hit a few buttons on my phone, and they bring me things. All kinds of cool stuff shows up in the lobby, and the doorbell goes off, and they bring me really good, yummy food. But even doing that, I'm spending probably 2/3 less than I used to spend because I used to jump on airplanes and go to the movies and just do. I don't know where all the money with gas. I ain't spending any money on gas. I'll tell you that much. So it's a blessing to not spend as much money. It's a blessing. I've been reaching out to people. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I want you guys to join. I invite you to join my Facebook channel. Right now, it's called Family Tree Counseling on Facebook. But I've got a marketing guy, and he has me making little mini videos on Facebook. And they're usually me hanging out, doing self-care things, self-sourcing things. One night, my marketing guy suggested that I get some props, and I talked about movies wearing my Heisenberg Breaking Bad Walter White hat. And so that was cool. My wife shares that she also finds it comforting that there's not a lot of pressure to be social and to go out and make new friends. You can't go out and make new friends. You can't really be social. So she likes the fact that she doesn't have that pressure. So, but join the Facebook channel because I've been making videos probably 5 times a week. And most of them have been, here's some healthy ways to cope. You know what, Annie, I haven't gotten into Better Call Saul, but I saw a review the other day that it's almost as good as Breaking Bad. So it's my intention to someday do the Better Call Saul people because it gives it some of the same people. Also, you can please join me on Twitter. I've been tweeting. I actually haven't been tweeting. I've got a guy who tweets for me, but my Twitter account is Mark Smith at Family Tree Mark. I think that's what it is. So we've been sending out lots of content on Twitter and on Facebook. So please like our Facebook channel, Family Tree Counseling on Facebook. So enough of the commercials. Another blessing is Rinda and I have had more time to work on our issues. We do that on the phone. We do that by texting. We do that by having Skype dates. Jackie says partially why she hasn't been there, she's been doing virtual physical therapy because she was in an accident. Was it an automobile accident? What kind of accident? Hey, my wife says my Twitter thing is at Family Tree Mark. And honey, could you put the Facebook thing on there too? My wife is really smart. So, yeah, what Rinda and I have been learning is how to communicate with each other from our adult selves instead of from our little kid selves. And I think we're both transitioning. And hey, somebody's following me on Twitter. My marketing guy would be so impressed. Go ahead on and sign up for Twitter because I might tweet at you. Claire has been waiting for my take on all this. So let me get back to my take. So I would say, since Rinda and I have been shifting more into our adult selves and being more mature and not being me being a raging baby and her being a wounded little girl, I would say our reactivity is probably down, I don't know, at least 60, 70%. And that's been cool. We still have a long way to go. Hey, Liberty Howe's following me on Twitter. My marketing guy would be so pleased with that. Hey, Angie. It was Angie. Angie's following me. I know Angie. I know who that is. Okay. So the next thing is, this may sound silly and I joke about it, but Amazon really is cool. And I don't go to the grocery store. I do not go to the grocery store. If I need something, I just pull my phone out and go boom, 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 boom. 2 days later, it's there. That's cool. It's really cool. And it's priced pretty good too. Family Tree Counseling Associates on Facebook. Thanks, honey. It's been nice, since you can't go out to eat, to do some door dashing. I was running into a little bit of a problem. I was door dashing too much, and I was eating carbohydrates, and I gained a few pounds when we were on a Skype date. My wife says my cheeks were all puffy like a chipmunk, like a chipmunk with lots of food in its mouth. And I said, well, that doesn't sound like a compliment. And she said, no, chipmunks are cool. And I kept saying, I'm pretty sure you're calling me fat. She goes, no, I'm saying that you're cute because you look like a chipmunk. I said, I'm pretty sure you're calling me fat, but she never would admit to it. I've since gone back on my keto diet. Another thing that has been a blessing is we have cut the cable. We were paying, man, like $350 a month between our two homes for DirecTV and local cable here in Indianapolis, and now we pay each about $25 a month, and we use YouTube TV, and it's a better product. Dee Dee says she's gained a pound or two. Renda's put her Instagram information on. Join her Instagramming. Dee Dee likes going to the store and she picks out her own spices and veggies. I go on Amazon, I hit button and something looks really good, and then I get it and it's like really little or not exactly what I wanted. So there's some downside to it, but I think that this is going to change how we do things as we move forward. I've talked about getting out into the sun. Another one of the blessings for me has been, honey, can you explain YouTube TV? It's a new service. It's sort of like having cable, but it's half as much and twice as good. So in Indiana, a lot of people look down on we therapists who would teleconference. And Rinda and I would say, we're probably the most teleconferencing therapists in the whole city of Indianapolis. We teleconferenced way before it was necessary and cool, and got a lot of judgment from snooty therapists who thought they were better than us. And then this happened. Now, in order to have a job and have clients, everybody's teleconferencing. So that's a blessing, because I don't think, I know when this is over, I'm not going back to the office. I'm just going to continue to teleconference. I like getting up in the morning, just walking to my desk, and it's easier on Mr. Paulie. Mr. Paulie likes going to the office and making friends, but it's just hard for him to be there all day. And Jeff leaves, my assistant leaves, and he can't walk, and he's wearing a diaper, and he's cramped. And Rinda says YouTube TV is a streaming service where you can get the same channels you'd get for cable for around $50 a month. Plus, you can DVR on like a bunch of different channels and a bunch of different TVs. So, I loved teleconferencing therapy before, but I like it a lot better now. Rinda and I have both got some really high-powered internet, and like I said, people have been seeking us out as a result of this. People are in a lot of pain, so I'm looking forward to later on this summer, spend a lot of time in South Carolina hanging out with my beautiful wife. Rinda says also follow her on Facebook because she'll also be doing Facebook Live videos here, the very new feature. Okay, number 14. When you don't have a lot to look forward to, I encourage people to find things to look forward to. You guys might have heard of a little thing called The Last Dance, which is a documentary of the Chicago Bulls' last championship season. I believe it was 98, 99. And it was supposed to happen in June during the NBA Finals, but they moved it up because they figured we ain't got nothing else to do, so we might as well do it now. And I look forward to that, and I look forward to it every Sunday. It's happened the last 2 Sundays, and there's 3 more Sundays where they do 2 episodes each Sunday, and it's friggin' awesome. But my point is, have something to look forward to. And the other thing for me was the NFL draft, which was really fun to watch because the Cowboys won the draft. So that was really cool. So look forward to little things. And the next thing is I've just had a whole lot more downtime than I've ever had because, I had time to spend with my daughter, and she still comes over and I spend time with her, but not as much because we can't go do things. I'd go to floats. I'd go see my best friend, Fred. I'd go see my friend, Tim. I'd play basketball a lot. I'd be at the office. I'd see other friends. I'd see extended family, go to the movies. And by the time you do all that stuff, you're tired all the time. And now there's whole days. I got nothing on the schedule. Sharon says, checking in on Zoom with my kids who have mental illness relieves my anxiety when I can see them and hear them. So we're going to switch over to how narcissistic abuse is actually a blessing, very, very cleverly disguised. But I want to hear more from y'all. How has you experiencing social distancing, social isolation, and this pandemic been a blessing in disguise for you? Y'all type. I'm going to drink some coffee, and I'll wait for you guys to share with us. Where's Soren at tonight? Somebody call him. I got to get Fernando the rubber chicken. He's at the office. I know where he's at. Anything at all. Claire, that's true. Going through narcissistic abuse has made going through hell on earth, nightmarish, worldwide, global pandemic a piece of cake. Jackie says we're staying safe with the kitty cats. Jilligan says, I've lived my life socially distant, so nothing is really new. I've always been quiet and shy. More blessings from this pandemic. And I know that there are a lot of things that aren't a blessing. I don't know anybody who, I think my niece had it. It hasn't been confirmed, but I certainly haven't known anybody personally who's died. Rinda says the beaches here are still closed, but I bet when it's open up, there'll be a ton of cool shells to collect. So there's that. Sam says, it's a blessing. I used to have an abusive narcissist relative who used to visit me, but he can't come around. So I'm triggered by phone rings. And I also seem to know he's about to call before he calls. Claire says, no rat race schedules. Kelly Wood. We got Jackie in the house and she brought her wrench. We got Rinda in the house and she brought her wrench. And now we got Kelly Wood in the house and she brought her wrench. Claire says, my dogs are happy. Mr. Paulie has been really happy. I was getting to a place where I was thinking of putting Mr. Paulie down because traveling back and forth has been really hard on him. Plus, he's been killing my rugs. Golden something says narcissistic abuse can never be a blessing. Contraire, my friend. I'm about ready to give you 15 reasons why narcissistic abuse has been a blessing for me. Sarah says the birds have been a blessing, chirping and chirping around and making me happy. Sam says birds and animals and Mother Nature has really been making him happy. They never sounded so good. Sarah is self-sourcing. She's sitting with herself through trying times and not abandoning herself. I might have missed ones. Steve says, reconnecting with myself. I'm a natural invert, he says, but I'm feeling happy. This seems weird, but I'm pretty well cut off from the world and sort of having to do everything for myself. But I'm really happy too. I'm happier I've been in a long time. So there's good things that can happen. Annie says the animals in our national parks are thriving in their non-stress because there's not people messing with them. Dee Dee says, I think that it's helped with my anxiety and narcissism. I'm less reactive, and I have the choice whether I want to engage or not. Au contraire. Okay, so we're going to shift. We're going to shift. Here's 15 ways that, at least for me, narcissistic abuse has been a blessing in disguise. Denise says there's less air pollution, regular cat visits while I'm teleconferencing in my bedroom, no more stressful commuting, more time for cooking meals, lower visa bills, eating in the backyard have all been blessing. Amen, amen, amen. Liberty Howell has been appreciating the growth in her journey more. Okay, so we're going to switch to how narcissistic abuse has been a blessing. What y'all need to understand is, Rinda says, being responsible for oneself and not needing to caretake others. Claire says, no school, yay. Kelly says, I've been staying home and staying safe and hope you all have. We have people in Indiana are starting to loosen up too much. I went to the park and I rode my bike and people were hanging out in clumps, and I didn't stop and lecture them, but I don't think I'm staying away from everybody. Okay. Why do we pick a narcissist? Because the world is evil and we've been victimized and they're so powerful that there's nothing we can do about it and it's not fair. Wrong on all counts. We pick a narcissist because the wounded little kid in us is looking for the perfect mommy or the perfect daddy who can love us the way we've always wanted to be loved. And here's the thing. There's nobody out there who can give you perfect love. What Rinda has been saying, that you need to learn how to love yourself. You need to learn how to meet your own needs. Why did I have a shattering? By the way, my 5-year anniversary of my shattering was Sunday. I didn't have a sad, regressive moment the whole day. I didn't feel the need to celebrate it. It's just something that happened to me 5 years ago. It's not as important as just living everyday life. I needed shattered because the pain inside me was so profound. I had really thick walls. I forgot my bicycling helmet the other day, and then I told my wife. She goes, "Well, you might fall and crack your head open." I said, "I'm so hard-headed. If I fell off the bike, I'm pretty sure that my head would put a crack in the cement." I was very hard-headed. Yeah, Jilligan, I do feel closure. So you can't heal your wounded little kid until you get your wounded little kid coming out. And if you're wounded pain and you have an infant that is very primitive and crying with purple rage, then you need to be walloped by the universe. You need to be shattered into a billion pieces. Another blessing is spending so much time in the past 5 years really deep processing, really weeping and wailing, and giving that infant time to heal. Another blessing is back in 2015 and 2016, I was able to really help a lot of people by doing those YouTube videos. They were raw. Some of them were a little victim-y, but man, we were getting 1 million minutes every 28 days and about 500,000 views. Now that we're focusing more on your self-responsibility and you're not a victim, we don't get as many views. It's more popular to blame the narcissist than to take responsibility for your own recovery. My wife, Rinda, says you can't heal your wounded little kid until your adult shows up to be your parent. Jackie says, how are you, Rinda? And she says, doing good. I'll confirm that. Lisa. Freudian slip. Name of first wife came out when I was referring to wife number 2. Rinda is thriving in South Carolina. She's gaining the courage to get out in front of the camera again and make some new content for her channel. Okay, so being able to share experiences with y'all has been helpful. Now, this is going to sound counterintuitive because it's going to sound arrogant, but going through calling Rinda, Lisa said, strike one, dude. I don't think I get I may not even get 3 strikes where I strike out. Strike one. It was a Freudian slip, honey. Being shattered, it turns you into a little kid. I remember I'd been away from the office for a couple months, and I felt like a little kid, and I showed up at the office, and I looked around, and I said, you guys have a really nice office. I owned it. It was my office. I put everything in there. All that stuff was mine. But I felt like a little kid, and I just what my point is, between the narcissistic abuse of abandonment, sexual infidelity from former fiance to vicious attacks from a former maker of YouTube videos to hard-fought, entrenched battle with a lovely person with a solid recovery, but both of us have issues to work on. Talking about Rinda. Denise says Rinda is beautiful and she looks good in person and on camera, and she's beautiful on the inside. Jackie says, we know your name. Rinda sent me a picture the other day, and I just thought it was adorable. I'm going to show it to you. Look at this. Isn't she adorable? I'm like, honey, that's the woman. I don't know. It might be. I don't know if you can see that well enough. It might be too. Let me lower the density, and I thought it captured her sweet spirit, and I don't know. It just I just saw that. And I said, wow, that's why I love this woman so much, because she has. There's something very sweet and very I don't know, beautiful about her look. Now I made it too dark. Hold on. Technical issues. Okay, there we go. There we go. Isn't she a doll? Look at that. The look on her face. Man, makes my heart go thumpity thump. It does. I'm telling you that. Other ways that narcissistic abuse has been a blessing. I don't know if I finished the other thing. I was pretty arrogant. It might surprise some of you, but before I went through shattering, I was pretty arrogant. Isn't that shocking? But going through this and going through some of the work that Rinda and I have done has been sort of stomping the snot out of my arrogance. So that's good. If it weren't for narcissistic abuse, I wouldn't be with Rinda, because she was there to pick me up and put me back together and love me and save me. She probably shouldn't have. She probably shouldn't have been so rescuing, but Rinda and I ended up together due to those circumstances. One of the biggest blessings has been now that my wounded little kid has come out and been out from age 55 to age 60, I've been able to grow up and stop being counter-dependent as much, stop being arrogant as much, stop being insecure as much. I did make it my screenshot. My wife was surprised that at one point I was arrogant. It's true, honey. I was a little bit arrogant at one point. It's a shocker. The cool thing about growing into maturity, Soren, what's up? Somebody fine him because he's late. I think the fine is $5. Why don't you send him a bill for being late? Don't feel ashamed. I'm just messing. Soren, how you like my captain hat? I did get a little tan here in Indianapolis. I've been laying out in the yard. So, but being shattered for 5 years and doing some work that I've been doing recently, it's helped me to grow up. I've been growing the fuck up for a change. And it feels good. It feels really good. When you're in your little kid, everything's scary. Everything's terrifying when you're in your little kid. When you're in your adult, you're like, I can handle this. It's all good. Another blessing of narcissistic abuse, I have so much empathy for people who suffer complex PTSD and narcissistic abuse. Rinda says she's made a backyard beach in South Carolina. So many therapists, including me, didn't really have a clue what PTSD is and that narcissistic abuse existed. And we just really didn't have empathy. And you go through it yourself and you'll have a lot of empathy for people. And you'll learn a lot about complex PTSD. Oh, you're talking about my feet, the feet picture? Oh. So I wondered who you were talking about. Is my kids' feet, Jarrett, Taylor, my daughter Taylor, my daughter Jordan, my son Jarrett. Yeah, that's whose feet are represented behind me. You gain a lot of knowledge about complex PTSD. Soren says, my mother's 66, but she acts 4, and it's hell. And he's working on getting to be 32, but he's only about 16. I'll tell you what, when I was 10, I acted like I was 30. When I was 20, I acted like I was 40. When I was 30, I acted like I was 50. And then when I was 45, I acted like I was 13. And then when I was 55, I acted like I was 3 months old. And from 55 to 60, I've been alternating between 3 months old and 3 years old and 5 years old and 7 years old and a little bit grown up every now and again. My son's name is Jarrett, not Jared. Jared's a great name, but my son is Jarrett, Jarrett. Sounds the same. But now, almost to 61, I'm a grown-up man. I feel like, I do feel like a young 61. I'm a little bit athletic, even though I've gained a few pounds. My wife says I look like a chipmunk. What do you guys think? You think that's a compliment, calling somebody a chipmunk? I don't think it was a compliment at all. She's calling me a fatty. That's what she was doing. Sarah says everything hurts when you're in your little kid. And he says chipmunks are cute. Okay. One thing that happened as a result of narcissistic abuse, on one arm here, it's always hard to get the arm shown. I'll rip my arm off and then I'll show you. It says the word courage. There you go. You go through narcissistic abuse and you feel like such a little kid, and there's flying monkeys hovering around, and your finances are destroyed, your reputation's destroyed, you feel like an infant, and life is hard. And if you can stand up to that, you got a lot of courage. I wear this Superman medallion, and people, they see me the last few years mainly being in my little kid, and they're like, Mark, are you sure you're Superman? Are you sure you're Superman? And what they don't know is the first 2-3 years of my recovery, I was badass. You're tough if you can survive narcissistic abuse. Jilligan, are you talking about Kelly's puppy in a picture? Okay. Other blessings of narcissistic abuse. If you can survive and thrive through this, you can survive and thrive through anything. And that's why for a lot of us, this experience of the pandemic has been hard. It's been different. It's been weird. It's been bizarre, but it ain't bad as what we've been through before. Dahir says, I struggle with black and white thinking, and I was raised by a narcissistic mother. Where do you think this black and white thinking comes from? Well, when you grow up with somebody who's narcissistic, many times you deal with a lot of chaos. And chaos is the gray area. When you can have black and white thinking, it eliminates the chaos. When I was 17, I had a born again experience, and for 11 years I was a religious addict, and everything was black and everything was white, and I needed that. I needed that to help solidify me because I wasn't solid. Sam, what if you survive, but it's hard to thrive? I feel you, brother. I feel you. I've spent more time in 5 years not thriving than I've spent thriving. Spent a lot of time thriving. Spent a lot of time not thriving. Just keep plugging away. Get out of victim mentality. Watch my videos, especially the recent ones. Watch the one I made last time. And if you can get out of victim mentality and learn how to be your own parent, there's no stopping you. Rinda says the black and white thinking comes from, in her opinion, what you were taught, that everything is all or nothing. So Jilligan says, Sam, that's me now. It's been really hard to thrive or even get some energy for the day. Another blessing of narcissistic abuse is community. When I first went through narcissistic abuse, I had lots of friends and lots of people helping me, and had lots of therapists. I had the on-site community. And since then, I've had all y'all. It's fun doing these shows and having a community of people who speak our language. So building community and having community is one of the blessings that come with narcissistic abuse. Soren says his father reinforced black and white thinking with violence, and it's hard for him to get past that. It's been about 30 years. Rinda says learning your worth is also helpful when recovering from narcissistic abuse. Sam says it seems our happiness gets them angry and sabotaging our efforts. Get away from them. I went away for 10 days, came back a different person. Sam, you're just too focused on the narcissist and not focused on enough on your own power and loving yourself. Brenda says, I've also learned what healthy boundaries are. Number 13 is I've been able to develop a great deal of gratitude. I'm not angry at this person who abandoned me and was cheating for 6.5 years, and I was shattered into a billion pieces. I'm grateful. If I ran into her in public, I'd go thank her. Best thing that ever happened to me. I couldn't heal unless I was exposed for who I really was. And I couldn't grow up and be a man until the little kid had a chance to come out. Renda says we attract these people into our lives to help ourselves heal. So I have great gratitude. Great gratitude. Hey, there's Lizard. Lizard sent me an email this week. What's up? Lizard's thriving. She's got a new job and everything. Renda says we have to take responsibility for how we allowed them to treat us. Sam says, I'm the scapegoat and under constant criticism from my mother. How can I focus on that when we learn the final lesson? Oh, I skipped. How can we focus on my own power to heal? Get away from your mama, dude. I don't know how old you are, Sam. Get away from your mama. It's called individuation. If your mother's constantly criticizing, fuck her. Get away from her. Lizard says she agrees with Renda. It seems like it will end when we learn the final lesson. Kelly says, I feel lucky that I've been with my hubby since I was 19. I'm now 52. We both had the same parenting. Could that be what still works for you? You are lucky to still be with your original partner, and it's working. That's a blessing. Renda says we allowed the bad treatment because we lacked self-worth. Sam says, I can't get away from her because I'm her caretaker. If she's going to keep on abusing you and criticizing you, you don't have to be her caretaker. You can do anything you want to do. Okay. Another blessing of narcissistic abuse. I feel so much more peaceful. I really do. Maybe it's partially the slower schedule due to the blessing in disguise of the pandemic that's impacted the world so much. But I just feel good. I just feel peaceful. And the last blessing of narcissistic abuse is I feel like a grown-up man. I may not look like a grown-up man because I'm pretending to be a captain of a ship, but you can ask my wife. I think you should say that of recent that I've been putting on my big boy pants a lot more than I used to. Sam says, I don't know how to stop my mother from treating me poorly. If I eject, I get the silent treatment. Oh, Sam's a female. Sorry, I was calling you a dude, Sam. Fuck your mama and her silent treatment. Be empowered. Do what you need to do. You need to individuate from your mother. What you should do, Sam, is to watch a lot of Jerry Wise's videos on individuation and growing into your own person. Rinda says, we get this, especially when we grow up with narcissistic parents. Angie says, I learned who I am and why I am who I am. Sam says, I'm an only child. You still don't have to take abuse from your mama, Sam. You don't. Annie says, a blessing for me is that I really observe instead of absorbing. I had a chance to work on it. So she observes instead of she observes instead of absorbing. It's hard to say. Soren says, when my mother starts to give her, I give her a stiff middle finger and I feel zero guilt about it. Feels great. Jilligan says, it's hard to individuate from your mom when you still have to stay around to help take care of her in an old age. You don't have to stay around and take care of. When my mom got a little older, I told her, I said, dude, you're on your own. You were not there for me as an infant. You were not there for me as a child. You were not there for me as a teenager. You were not there for me as a young adult. Good luck. I ain't going to take care of you. Sam says, Mark, I also have a sociopathic female who my mom raised, who constantly is calling and playing sadistic mind games, controlling on my mother. And she's a big problem. Yeah, fuck her too. Sam, watch Jerry Wise's videos, watch some of my videos, and you can individuate and you can become your own person. We've got 25 minutes left and I'm out of material. So I'm going to throw the ball to y'all. Don't fumble the ball. I want to hear about how narcissistic abuse has been a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise. Soren says, I feel the same with my mother. She thinks because I'm going to be a nurse that I'll take care of her. She's got another thing coming. Shook me as an infant. She can enjoy the nursing home. Straight up, it's true. All right. Anonymous, why are Rinda and I in different states? I want to be in South Carolina. I tried to get to South Carolina. I bought an airplane ticket to South Carolina. When I was supposed to go was right at the apex of you can't get on an airplane travel to South Carolina. And you can't even really get in a car. So we'll be in the same state pretty soon. Carrie, blessing in describe for me is you stop putting things off until tomorrow. So for Carrie, it's brought an accountability and an urgency to do what you got to do now. Okay, so blessings, Lizard. Blessing to me. I became awesome after my discard in 2016 and achieved all my goals. And I thank the narcissist for pushing me. Became awesome and achieved all her goals. Woohoo! Annie says there's a new cool thing that teenagers say, and that's savage. That's savage. I like that. That's savage. Another thing the cool people say is that's lit. If you heard it, that party's going to be lit. Kelly says narcissistic abuse makes you grow up and look at yourself and try not to make the same mistakes. The thing is, they really weren't mistakes. They were just inevitable opportunities to heal and to grow up. Sam says that she's in a very religious background. Her only way out of her marriage is death. You got some religious addiction. I don't think that's healthy. If you're being abused and bullied and controlled and not listened to and not being loved, I don't think it's God asking you to stay in that. It might be religion. Lizard, the not so cool part is I'm doing well now and I don't date, but when I am, I'm now attracting chess playing narcs who play on a higher level, and she misses it. Not sure. Let me back up. Not sure what needs to be done here. Well, Lizard, like I said, there's relapses. If you play with fire, you're going to get burned. If you play chess with a higher chess playing narcissist, you're going to have your ass handed to you. So that's what the universe is trying to tell you, I'm pretty sure. Soren says, when my personality disordered ex broke up with me, I studied CBT and watched lots of Jerry Wise videos as well as family tree videos. Now I do not look at women as replacements for my mommy, for my little boy, and it's been very freeing. Tammy B, I stopped watching videos that continue to talk about the narcissists all the time and focus on beating them up. I know it was wrong, but I am trying to heal and stop focusing on them. You know, the one person you got any shot at healing is your own self. It's the only person you got any shot at healing. And if nobody else around you gets healthy, so what? If you get healthy, it'll change your world. It'll change your life. Lizard says, I'm missing the cues as they are higher skilled at covering it up. Your little girl is still looking for a daddy to take care of you and give you love that you didn't get. So this last relapse was a blessing. Don't beat yourself up. It's all good. It's all an opportunity to heal. Annie says, I've enjoyed myself this evening. Thanks, everybody. Signing off. We did start a little late. I do have a tendency to start a little late. Jerry starts on time. I start a little late. Do 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 do. Soren says, that's the central issue, Sam. You haven't self-sourced enough to convince your inner little girl that you can take care of her. It's a hard journey. Be compassionate with yourself. Soren, you shouldn't be a nurse. You should be a therapist. You really should. You're already qualified as a therapist. Get a psychiatric designation and go to therapize, and you're really good. Do 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 do. Honey, are you signing off? We've got 15 more minutes. We could close earlier. Soren says, by the way, I am planning on being a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I want to do private practice like you. Awesome. Jackie says, hide the rubber chicken. He's humming Jeopardy. Mr. Paulie's 13. Yeah, Lizard, it is like a reunion. I'm going to show you another picture while we're at it. Show and tell. We're going to have show and tell. I'll show you two more pictures. This one won't come off. So, don't anybody leave. It's show and tell time. Which one do you think is me? Of these, I had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. First one who guesses right wins a rubber chicken. Sam says, I'm going to try to self-separate. Nothing would make me happier than guess the little girl still wants a relationship with her mother. That's it. That's true. Dee Dee guesses the baby. Kelly Wood says the middle. We have a winner. Ding, ding, ding. Denise says middle. Sally says middle. Hey, Sally. What's up? Welcome to the show, Sally. Have you ever watched it before? Yeah, I'm the middle guy. It's hard being a middle kid. Rinda says middle. Dude, you already knew. Okay. Now, oh, you guys can see that. Which one am I? I don't know if you remember the story that when I was 10, I was taking care of my infant little sister. I sort of became her second mother. And there was a real close bond there. And then she died of crib death. Yeah, Soren, I'm the one holding the baby. She died of crib death. She was born September 6, 1969. She died November 15th, 1969. And I was her mom. And I was in the room with her the night she died of crib death. I'm not the blonde boy in the back. That little snot is the golden child who didn't cry when he was a baby, and his mama told him he was the smartest kid in the world and he could do anything he wanted. He became very wealthy and very counter-dependent. But yeah, I was an empath when I was 10, and it broke my heart. I've been crying about Lisa Marie, my little angel, for 40-something years now. So yeah, it was hard. That was hard. It's hard to lose a child when you're a 10-year-old. Kelly said I had the looks. Evidently I still don't have the looks, so I look like a chipmunk now. Okay, so show and tell's over. Does anybody have any further questions, comments, thumbs up? that they would like to share with the group, ways in which narcissistic abuse has been a big fat blessing for them. What do you got? I think my wife went and had some dinner, and Curtis Moe was in the house. Yeah, it was hard to go through when I was 10 because I thought it was my fault. And I felt like it was my fault for decades. Do you have any homework? Jackie says. Jackie, strangely enough, I do have homework for you. It is a book called, here it is. The book is called Growing Yourself Back Up. The author is John Lee. It's the only thing I've found that's about growing your little kid up. I know there's some dialogue in The Journey from Abandonment to Healing. I know that there's dialogue in Pete Walker's book on complex PTSD. Here's your homework, growing yourself back up. Hey, Laura. You're welcome. Time to grow up. It's time. There's a time to cry and there's a time to dance, the Bible says. And we go through narcissistic abuse and it's a time to cry. Oh, you never cry so much as you do then. But as you heal and as you come into yourself and as you gather your life and become more organized and have more faith and you're in your adult side, then it's time to have a little swagger and have a little joy and have a little dance in your step. Kelly said, I enjoyed your new video on growing yourself up. And she says, I appreciate your vulnerability. Laura says, you saved me more than you know. Used to work with Laura back in the day. Curtis told my mom in a twisted way, you created who I am now because of the journey I had to go through to process the abuse and trauma. Jillian says, remember to pay the $5, Soren. We can start a pizza fund. Steve says, thank you for the community. Lizard says, we have a huge part in this. We have to stick to our boundaries. I realize I am partly to blame, and that opened up my eyes to not being a victim. Lizard, you weren't partly to blame. I don't like the word blame, but whatever we go through in our life, we are 100% responsible for. We're not to blame for anything, but we are responsible. Okay. I'm going to sing for y'all. This is something I used to sing. I don't even know the words to it hardly. But I used to sing. My mom put me in choir. And I don't know why. I just like singing it. Hear, O Lord, the sound of my cry. Hear, O Lord, and have mercy. My soul is longing for closeness with you. Oh, hear, O Lord, and have mercy. Anonymous says, go get the rubber chicken. Jackie says God hears the cry of our hearts. Anonymous says she was getting to whack me with Fernando. Jillian says that was Butamus. I don't know if I could record any songs. I used to play songs on the guitar and wrote a lot of songs. And the more creative I became, the crazier I became. I had some really good songs. Jilligan has a question. What's your question, Jilligan? Really quick, what's your question? She's typing her question right now. Sal, you didn't know I was going to sing, did you? I don't know why I sang. I just I feel joy. I feel blessed. Makes you want to sing. Jillian, why would my mother talk about her abuse as a child, yet turn it around and abuse us? She couldn't really help it. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was seduced. She was the nanny. She was seduced. She was 19. She was seduced by a guy in his 30s or 40s, and that Sally said she didn't see the song coming. So then my grandmother at 19 became pregnant, and they were a Catholic family, and they were raised in an orphanage because my great grandmother was mentally ill with bipolar disease, and so then my mother was put in an orphanage the first 3 years of her life, and then she was picked up out of the orphanage by my raging narcissistic grandfather. So she was completely abandoned for the first 3 years of her life, and then her life was dominated by a raging narcissistic so-and-so. So, yeah, my mother abandoned me, but I don't think that I don't think that I was abused as much as she was. I don't believe that I was abandoned as much as she would. So that's the answer to your question is hurt people, say Jackie says. So Jillian says I was abused as a child, and I turn around, I didn't have kids, and I'm just horrified about the crap children go through. I was abandoned as a child, and my son was born in 1980. No, he was born in 1990. And I have 3 children. You saw their feet earlier. My son now is 29. I have a daughter's 27. I have a daughter's 24. And I married my anti-type, so I was able to have a pretty healthy looking, stable, loving, wonderful family until I was 45. So 2 of my kids were in high school, and one of them had just gone into middle school. And then my need for filling myself up with mommy dearest, borderlines and narcissists, and even a sociopath there, was something that took over. And then I did abandon the wife of my youth. I abandoned my children, but I was temporarily insane. So Who are we to judge? The people who raised us. We're here to testify and say what's true, but we're not here to judge. In the Bible, it says, judge not, lest you be judged. So, thank you all for watching tonight. With the singing, I got a little like Captain and Tennille thing going on. Like I'm the captain. But I took my glasses off and totally changed my face into somebody handsomer and younger. I'd look just like the captain with Tennille. We all have insanity that we go through. And the cool thing is the worst thing that ever happened to us can turn out to be the best things that could ever happen to us. Jay News says you can only work with the tools that you had in the shed. Jilligan says no judgment, just a desire to understand and maybe heal. Anonymous asks about Jerry's great. Jerry's awesome. Jerry's killing it. Jerry's famous. Sort of rich and famous. He's a blessed man, my hero. Yeah, he just, had low blood sugar, and he was trying to answer questions, and that's when he got a little sideways, and he needed to take care of himself and stop the show last time. Jeanette, did you meet the borderline before you left your wife? I think I met 3 or 4 before I left my wife. And the tug was so powerful from women that were like my mother and the little boy longing for them when I was married to somebody who was the polar opposite of my mother. Kelly Wood says it can take a long time, a long while to not judge the people who hurt you. Yeah, I heard that. Denise says, good night, everybody. I'm going to hit dreamland. Thanks to Mark and the moderators. So this has been fun, and it's been cool. A global pandemic is a global nightmare. And Paulie is snoring, dude, chill. But with faith, with courage, with self-sourcing, with recovery, with community, we can take lemons and make lemonade. Narcissistic abuse is horrible. Rinda says, night, everybody. But with recovery and self-sourcing and community, we can turn lemons into some really good lemonade. Sarah says, I'm going to bed too. Thank you, Mark and Rinda and moderators. Jeanette says, thank you for sharing. Rinda says, great community here tonight. Love you all. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Use rubber gloves. Wear a mask. Be careful in the grocery store. And keep self-sourcing. And you will survive this. And there are better days ahead. Jackie says, to Mark and Rinda and all the beautiful people here, I wish you a safe and healthy week. I'm not sure about 2 weeks from now. I'm hoping that Jerry will be the host in 2 weeks, but I got to ask him if he is or not. Sally's going to become a regular member. She looks forward to the next one. So God bless everybody. Be safe.